Hello folks, and welcome to another video. So today I've decided to pop into Halifax town centre. I want to get a few bits and bobs from Marks and Spencer's. So come along for the ride. So I think this is my fourth journey now of 2026. So in the UK we had like quite a nasty cold snap, lasted for about a week or so, where it's been quite icy. We've had a little bit of snow, and you know, being a casual rider and on two wheels, snow and ice are really two things I don't want to have to concern myself with, especially being in quite a hilly region in the north of England, where all of these things are potentially quite a serious threat. So I'm quite happy that I've managed to get out about 4 times, sort of every time the temperature is safely above zero and I've needed to nip out. I've not had too much hesitation in jumping on Luna. I've only had to scrape ice off the seat of my bike, having once so far, when the temperature unexpectedly did drop below zero for a return journey. But for the most part, so far 2026 has been a pretty good year for riding. So in my last video I was talking a little bit about the conundrum that I have about whether I renew my CBT in June or if I go ahead and try and get my full motorcycle license. So it's a bit of a tricky one really, because I want to keep riding scooters. I like automatics. I see learning gears as being a little bit pointless. Like electric motorcycles, okay, they're fairly few and far between now, but you know, in 5-10 years time that's not going to be the case, and they're not going to have gears. So I'm like, well, why devote the mental energy to learning gears and getting used to all of that and getting, you know, perfecting clutch control and everything else, when all those skills are going to sort of become obsolete. And in fairness, I did try, when I did my CBT, I did try geared bikes first, and I just didn't really get on with it. And I appreciate it's something that, you know, with practice you pick up and you learn, and then eventually it just becomes second nature. But up until that point it's just hassle and I'm all for the easy life, frankly, and I like automatics and I love scooters. So yeah, so right, I'm almost forgetting the point now, but yeah, so the point is I would like to be able to do my full license on a, you know, preferably on like an A2 class scooter. I think the chances of finding anywhere which has got like a full A license class 1 is next to zero, because then we're talking about like a really big heavy DCT sort of Honda or something, which I think no one's going to have. But after a lot of searching, I have actually found like one training centre. So there's one in Brighouse called, I think, Brighouse Motorcycle Training, or is it Best Motorcycle Training? It's a bit confusing. They actually say both names on their website, so I don't actually know which one it is. But yeah, it looks like they've got an A2 class Kimco 400 maxi scooter in their fleet. So I've tentatively reached out to them just to sort of find out about cost and availability and things, because ideally it would be really cool to get my full license, get rid of the L plates, and then have the potential to get like a 350 400cc bigger maxi scooter at some point, for going further and being able to go on dual carriageways and motorways and what have you, to better go places at a slightly faster clip than Luna's 55-ish sort of real world sort of top speed. So yeah, it's a bit of a wait and see at the moment. They haven't gotten back to me yet, but I guess we will find out, and maybe I'll be able to update you in my next video. Now as we approach Halifax, we start dealing with a lot of junctions. I don't like driving into Halifax. In fact, this is the first time of actually driving into Halifax town centre. Normally, if I pop to Tesco's or I need to go to somewhere like B&Q, these are all places like on the outskirts of Halifax. So this is going to be the first time I'm actually going into the centre. Because honestly, I live on a train line. It's very easy to get a train or a bus into the town centre and not deal with all of the junctions and the traffic and the general craziness. But I thought today, you know what, it would be good practice. So I decided to go ahead with it. So as we come up here, my lane splits into sort of a straight on and turn right lanes, and I need to continue straight on. So I position myself to the left hand side of my lane, and I start to move across when another car decides to just cut me off, despite the fact that they could have continued straight on if they had just stayed on the left hand side of the lane anyway. So I wasn't best pleased about that. And then, of course, oh look, suddenly they need to turn left, so they need to be in the left-hand lane anyway. So I don't know if I should have indicated or something and I was at fault because I didn't do that. I don't know, but it just seems like kind of careless driving on the part of the car, because they would have seen I was right at the left-hand side of the lane. I probably was intending to go straight on. So it was a dubious overtake or undertake, if nothing else. So up here the road sort of splits off into a dual carriageway, which is the way I normally go if I'm sort of heading over to the far side of town to go to say B&Q or what have you. But this time I'm going a different way under this overpass and into the town centre. My first thought coming down here is, where the hell are the road markings? Shouldn't there be lanes or something? And you can kind of see little bits of white line every now and again, but it's a bit strange to be in a town and for there to be no sort of central white lines really, and lots of potholes to dodge. The quality of the road surface here is very bad. In case it's not obvious as I edit this video, I'm sort of taking out all the long waits at traffic lights, because while I'm stuck in traffic, you do not have to be stuck in traffic watching me. So this was a bit of a strange experience. I don't know why there isn't like a box junction or something here, but I literally had to thread my way between cars to get into the correct lane, which felt very wrong doing it, but I mean, I don't know how the hell else you're supposed to have crossed the junction there. And then the stop line for this pedestrian crossing has you stopped blocking access to the side road there, which again feels like rather poor planning on the part of Calderdale Council. But I feel like this is just a theme. Like, in general, the roads just seem to be like very chaotic and in like a state of flux in Halifax. So I've driven in a few towns. I did my CBT in Leeds. It's obviously a big city, and the roads in Leeds were considerably easier to navigate than the roads in Halifax. I don't know what it is about this town. It's quite an old historic town, but yeah, it's just difficult to navigate. At last we arrive at our destination, the car park for the wool shopping mall. So this is where Marks and Spencer's and a few other nice little destination shops are located in Halifax. So I think I take a bit of a naughty left here when I think I'm maybe going up a one-way street, but the problem is that the motorcycle parking is literally just there. So it would have been a pain in the ass to have to loop all the way around the car park. So now you join me on my way home. Unfortunately, I forgot to hit record on the GoPro straight away, but basically things have gone very wrong. Apple Maps told me to, I think, turn right at a roundabout, which was apparently not the way I was supposed to have gone. So then I turned round and I tried going the other way, and I couldn't get back on my original route. It just kept leading me further and further astray. So at this point, I'm well outside of Halifax town centre, and I'm not really sure where I'm going. It's not what you want. But I was stopped in traffic long enough that I could hit record on the GoPro at least. So you can follow me along on this slightly stressful little adventure as I trundle along roads I'm very unfamiliar with, trying to figure out where the hell I am. Now, generally speaking, Apple Maps has taken me anywhere I've wanted to go really well. I know when it first launched in the UK it wasn't brilliant, but over the years it's gotten quite good. I've tried Waze and I've tried Google Maps, and I don't really think the directions in those are any better. But today Apple Maps really let me down. So you might be able to see on my phone screen there, it's telling me to turn right up ahead. When I actually get to the junction down here, it turns out you can't take a right turn. So I'm forced to go yet again off-piste, and I have a little voice in my ears going, hey, turning the wrong way. You need to turn around in such and such a place. And I'm like, hang on, what? Where am I going? So I don't know if these directions have always been wrong, or if maybe the road layout has changed in the last year or two, and it's just not been updated. But it's not nice. You're out riding somewhere unfamiliar and to be given directions that you literally cannot legally take. But it turns out there's a roundabout just up here, so I'm able to go all the way around the roundabout and then come back on the other side of the road. So that was nice. It's better than just being led up some random side road to maybe do a cheeky U-turn, or having to drive around a housing estate or something to sort of come out the other way. So more roundabout practice, which is probably not the worst thing. There we go, and we're now hopefully going in the right direction. I think that was the last major screw up that I had to correct on Apple Maps, and from here on out it's just trundling along unfamiliar roads. Although the one thing that does get me is that there's basically, I see very, very few, if any, speed limits posted anywhere, and the speed limit being shown in Apple Maps is sometimes 30 and it's sometimes 40, and it gets confusing, because generally in the UK, right, you're in an area with maybe houses and streetlights. If there's no signs, then generally the assumption is that you should be doing 30. But then it's saying 40 on Apple Maps. I'm like, well, this bit is probably a 40, but then it quite quickly turns into housing, and there's no signs to say that you transitioned from a 40 to a 30, or any kind of sort of street furniture to sort of try and get you to slow down by narrowing the road or anything. So, again, why? Why are the roads around Halifax so bad? You just have to try and hope you're going to catch like a slightly twisted sign at the side of a side road to see if there's a speed limit posted on that instead. So that flashing sign over there saying, hey, slow down, this is a 30, is actually the first speed indication pretty much since I resumed recording, right? Looking back at the video, I see no speed indication on that road that led down to the junction where I couldn't turn right. There was no speed indication on the road where I took the roundabout and turned around. I mean, Apple Maps, looking closely at the video, was saying that was all a 40. It felt like a 40. And then obviously, by the time I'm stopped back at those lights just there, it's clearly residential, so it must be a 30, right? But it's weird that there's clearly speed transitions going on there, and you're going from, I mean, this road here, yeah, it's 50-50 whether this is a 30 or a 40, but I think Apple is saying it's a 30, and presumably, again, there's been no indication now apart from that LED sign, so presumably this is still a 30. But again, we're getting into like the outskirts of the town, so it's like it could easily be transitioning into another speed, but I don't understand why there's not a single repeater or even a number painted on the road somewhere. So while I'm stuck here, I'm just quickly checking the route just to make sure it is vaguely taking me back in the direction of home and not just, I don't know, to somewhere else entirely. Because my worry is that I'm going to get suddenly put on a road I can't get off of that's going to take me onto a motorway or something, or a fast dual carriageway, which is very much not what I want to encounter. And I legally can't go on the motorway, right, as someone only riding with a CVT. And again, Apple is saying we're in a 40 again. There's nothing to say we're in a 40. It looks like a 40. It's not residential. It's kind of, we're going through countryside. It's a big wide road. I can't fathom why this would be a 30 for some reason. But there's just no signs. And it makes no sense. And then finally, we get like a little side road, and it merges at such an angle that we can actually see the speed limit signs for entering this road, and it turns out this is actually a 30. So I drop the speed a bit, and again, it's starting to get residential. It's starting a bit like a 30 again. But I don't know. I really hope there aren't a whole load of like speed cameras that Apple wasn't telling me about along this stretch of road, because I just think it's ridiculous that you've got like a road which is presumably, maybe it's 30 all the entire way, the roundabout and everything, and those 40 indications from Apple are just nonsense. But then I don't understand why you would have that, because clearly when the road is very wide and there's no houses or commercial buildings around and you're just going through countryside, why it wouldn't be a 40 makes no sense. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting about speed limits now. Now, as we finally enter the familiar ground of Sorby Bridge, I think that is a good place to end this video because it's starting to run a little bit long. Thank you for coming along on another ride. I don't know if you've driven around Halifax. I would be very curious to know what your opinion is on the state of the roads and the road markings and signage or lack thereof. Whether this is just a newbie driver unfamiliar with the area and the sort of problems they would run into, or whether this is like a genuine problem, and maybe if I should be sending a sternly worded letter to Calderdale Council or something to tell them to sort their shit out. I don't know.